Almost 2,000 years ago, a group of people in feudal Japan found themselves pushed further and further away from the mainstream of society as they refused to give up their spiritual beliefs to the imposed conformity of the ruling class. The ruling power made it illegal for common people to carry or own the deadliest weapon of the time, a finely edged sword. So these people had to learn to defend themselves in different ways, to walk the path of their own chosen desire and to blend in so as not to attract attention. They learned survival skills so unsurpassed that the name ninja became feared by all who heard it. But the primary concern, then as now, was to live and to let live in peace and harmony so that all mankind can reach their own levels of heightened enlightenment. This black belt home study course is designed to set you on the path. Nenpo will give you the power to overcome life's obstacles by coming out on top. And the skills you will learn in this series will give you the flexibility to roll with life's everyday punches, the courage to climb above life's obstacles. Only your own discipline and perseverance can carry you through to the finish. Your goal of receiving a black belt and all that it stands for. And view life from a different perspective from that uncluttered height. And what the insights that you've gained will help you to slice through all the things that are holding you back from being all that you can be. You may find that instead of being caught up in fights that don't concern you, you can just hang out and observe. Unless, of course, you need to take action, and then who knows? You may be so dazzling they don't even know what hit them. We will study from the traditional schools of Kumugakure-ryu, Koto-ryu, Tagakure-ryu, Gyokushin-ryu, Gikan-ryu, Gyokuro, Tagagi-yoshin-ryu, Shinden-furo-ryu, Kuki-shinden-ryus of Grandmaster Masaaki Hatsumi of the Bujinkan system. I am proud to present this black belt home study course. All right, you've arrived at third Kyu. Third Kyu, you're almost on your way to Shodan. A couple more Kyus. And the more and more that you advance in this, that your taijutsu and all the aspects we've taught you so far start needing to be actually done better and better and better so that you're able to do these more advanced techniques with absolute proficiency. At third Kyu level, I want a person to be able to teach the Kihon Happo, which should be known fully by fifth Kyu, be able to teach it to another student. Maybe even start a progression of teaching inside a dojo, or be able to know the techniques well enough to point out things to be able to teach them. Beginning to learn the aspects of teaching is very, very, very important because you begin to learn to watch things from an outside perspective, and other people will start asking you questions, and that'll make your taijutsu and your learning and your understanding of ninjutsu quite a lot better. As you also move on the Kyus, you start moving into a little bit more esoteric type techniques. Esoteric meaning learning to utilize the aspects of nature itself. So start blending ourselves and our body and our minds and our spirits to the attunement as you have seen already in our techniques. So as we move on now, in third Kyu, we're going to begin with some Taihenjutsu skills. The Taihenjutsu skills we'll begin with will be Taisabaki, or being able to move out of different kinds of attacks. I'm going to show you some basic principles now of Taisabaki. Remembering before, when an attacker comes down with a straight strike, coming to my head, that we're basically moving off to the side, moving away from the weapon. We want to advance that this is only one position in which to do this. Basic is just moving to the side. Later, or also now in Mutadori, is that I would fall and move to where I would be able to take a blade away. Besides moving in this particular position against a sword, or practice against a sword or a hanbo, I also want to be able to move against other kind of strikes, like it was cutting to the side of my body. So the strike was to come here and to cut me. So as this cut comes in, I can just move inside, moving right along, which very easily allows me to take the weapon out of the hands. This is also Mutodori. It gives me a position of being able to move and to now own the blade myself. Now if a sword cut comes from like a side or diagonal cut, then all I need to do is step inside. So I step inside as the sword is continuing, I can just pull the sword right out, come back down, and cut. Making sure that when I hand this blade back, that I'm having the edge back to myself as I hand this to my uke. Making sure that the uke has a hold on the sword itself, then letting go. Always with the blade turned to yourself. So if he was to hand the sword back to me, you turn it back so that the blade's towards him. This is a traditional thing of respect, because as he releases, I could very easily cut through his body. So it's showing honor and showing respect. Another form is to hold the blade straight up and down as the more primary way. And actually, if you're actually handing a blade more formally, it would be here. They would take with both hands on the blade as you hold and release. But that's formal passing. Dojo passing would be efficient the other. These are actually forms of, higher lessons forms of Tai Sabaki, because you're evading being able to let the sword fall forward and cut the other person. So these are things that you have to think of. They work on both sides. So once more, as the cut comes from, let's say from the opposite side here, as the sword cut comes, again, as I'm just stepping in the middle, I have these choices of coming in the middle, or I also have a choice of going underneath. The primary aspect is the evasion. The things that I'm showing you with taking away swords is only one aspect. You need to be able to start thinking these, because one of the basic postures and positions and practice of third Kyu is understanding the aspects of the blade. But my evasion is most important. I put myself between the weapon and my opponent. This allows me and gives me many, many kinds of options and things to do to be able to end up with the blade in my own hand, being able to do different kinds of cuts. Once more, as the blade comes down this way, I also have an option of being underneath. I can come back up doing all kinds of strikes now. Or just continue, which I would move over, of course getting the blade, cutting back if necessary. Okay, the same aspects that we're watching the punch is the punch comes straight, comes right at my jaw. Ultimately, this is not where I want to be, because I do not want to get hit. Aspects of Tai Sabaki and punches, I want to feel, third Kyu, I want to be able to feel this energy, this intent, so that I feel this space outside of his hand actually pushing me away. So that in natural, as this punch comes, it's like the energy itself just pushes. Punches the Skifer Michimonji coming to my jaws. Just feeling this as a push. Just kind of want to wait for the timing. Boom. Just learning to come back out of it, just staring and watching the person in the eyes. Forms of Tai Sabaki. Also, in the very beginning, we're teaching you to be able to go further out, doing these Donk Taijutsu moves. Later on, as this punch comes, I don't have to move very far at all. I want to practice being comfortable just moving here. I want to pay attention, watching this person. They're punching at my head. Boom! Just moving. So the evasion is more subtle, just inside here. As this punch comes, I also can go just underneath this punch. I couldn't go over the punch. So I have these choices of whichever way that I want to go. Basic aspects of Tai Sabaki.
Another aspect of Shinobi Uruki, silent walking, is moving the body sideways. Say if you're moving alongside of a wall, where I'll need to cross my feet, moving in a sideways fashion, maybe I'll hold my hands up this way. In any type of silent movement, any type of silent walking or movement that you're doing, it's important to keep your knees slightly bent for stability and balance. For any time during the movement that you're walking, if I make noise or if I hear something, I need to be able to stop and keep my balance until I'm sure that I've not been heard, and continue walking. Set the foot down, gently shift your weight. Keeping your knees bent, moving very slowly. The more movement you make with your body, with your arms, the easier it is to be seen. From here, shift, and not letting your foot scrape this way, but to pick it up. Forward, shift. Here, in front, and now I hear something. So I'm going to slowly step behind so I can scan the area and turn my body. Another aspect very important to use is your toes. When you're stepping your foot out, especially if it's in the darkness and you're around leaves or some type of substance that might make noise, setting your foot down lightly, sometimes just feeling with your toes on the ground, very lightly feeling, seeing that okay, it's okay. Now, gently set my foot down and slowly transfer my weight onto that foot. Once I realize I'm stably on the ground, have all my weight shifted onto it, gently, gradually pick up the other foot, move it forward or to the side, feel with my toes. Make sure that there's nothing there that I'm going to step on and make noise. Rocks, nails, leaves. Set it down very lightly. Shift. Either sideways or frontwards.
If I'm doing this in water, water is a different substance altogether. I'm not just going to want to like tromp through the water because the water against my legs is going to make some noise. It's going to make some swishing sounds. So I'm going to want to also take my leg and bring it straight up. Touching the toe through the water first. Then plunging my foot slowly into the water, and placing it slowly down. I've got to be aware of the surface underneath the water. I might be knocking over rocks or something like that, making a loud boom sound if I knock over a rock. Pulling this straight out. Now if it's a fast-moving river, you don't have to worry so much about the noise because there's already going to be a lot of white noise as the water runs around the rocks already. But if it's a slow, very still river, almost like a lake, you're going to want to be very careful about how you put your feet in the water and take it out of the water.
or any time during the movement that you're walking, if I make noise or if I hear something, I need to be able to stop and keep my balance until I'm sure that I've not been heard, and continue walking. Set the foot down, gently shift your weight. Keeping your knees bent, moving very slowly. The more movement you make with your body and with your arms, the easier it is to be seen. From here, shift, and not letting your foot scrape this way, but to pick it up. Forward.
A basic drill that I have designed to teach a person the aspects of creating the fist and body harmony and also Tai Sabaki is to do things with a partner that we begin in a very, very slow fashion. One person that doing the attacking will do this very, very slow. The drill for the person that is receiving this is to move out of the way in the least amount possible, blending with the other person's energy, and at the same time, their job is to watch every piece. What moves first? Does a knee first move first? Does a foot move first? Does a hand move first? Do they fake with their shoulder? Where are they looking with their eyes? And as they throw any kind of combinations of techniques, it can be street techniques, it doesn't have to be ninjutsu techniques, it can be from anything or any position, that they'll do 3 or 4 different attacks, and then on the 4th attack they'll find a way to easily and softly take the other person to the ground. So as this punch or whatever he wants to do starts coming, I'm just watching, just paying attention. I just want to move just a little bit. And as I move here, I'm just paying attention to everything. As he goes to do some other kind of technique, I'm just moving out of the way. Another thing is that I'm not allowed to use my hands in any kind of defense. Very soft and very slow. Once more. You can begin with any kind of attack, and you can speed it up just a little when you get comfortable, but do this very, very slow. The tendency is to do this fast, but you want to burn imprints in your mind of every kind of possible attack and from every kind of conceivable angle, no matter where you are. And it will help you very, very much in your training to code and calibrate things. After you've done this many, many times, 100, 200 times, slow, then you can start speeding it up to something faster, because you want to code. This is a coding system, but it can be a play drill too. Okay. Once more, let's say that it's my turn. And I may start here, I may go a little bit faster and go. Practicing some kind of street brawling techniques. Okay, as Ken does this, maybe throwing some kind of kicks or something like that at a little bit faster speed, but not too fast. We still want it slow. The tendency in the very beginning of this is the person throws this, if they're not comfortable, that they want to move out far away. They want to go like this. Another habit is sometimes people want to use their hands when they get in trouble. The drill is to not to use your hands, but to work on evading, so I can be in a position where I can be using my hands if I need to. If he throws another punch, I could be doing all these things. This is a secondary drill of this. As a kick or something comes, then I could be doing this, but I want to get out of the way. The real aspects, can't you imagine in a real fight if a person's throwing several techniques at you, and you're just here, you just happen to be here, they're going to pump again with a hand, they're going to like kick to the body or something, and you're just here, and they go to punch you again, and you're just here, they punch again, and you're just over here, and you're just here, and they go to punch again, and they're there. This is a very good drill, practiced in a very slow form, because you begin, as I say, the most important thing is getting out of the way. The ultimate thing in any kind of fighting encounter is not showing up. You want to live your life so effectively that you never create those kind of situations. And if you do, that everything you do has to depend on the intent of the attacker. Everything depends on the intent of the attacker. You've seen a lot of forms, especially as soon as we've got up to the 4th Kyu and now 3rd Kyu levels, that you've seen a lot of really rock and roll that could be very damaging. But I'm showing you worst case scenario against somebody that may be threatening your life or the life of somebody that you really truly love. And it's only at those times that we have the right to be able to take somebody and injure them in that kind of way. The aspect of our art is to blend body, mind, spirit, balance, harmony. You want to start working more in the aspects of balance in yourself and your life and your taijutsu and everything that you do to create harmony inside your life. It begins with these aspects of taisabaki. Because the same thing with the punch is whatever kind of aggression or something that's coming at you. You may handle it in all kinds of different ways. A punch may come at you the same way as life, and you may, as this punch comes, you may try to fight it off and go, no! You may fight life. You take it and you might want to take it, no, I don't want to run away. But another one's going to be coming, and you go, oh no, I don't like this, oh, it's awful. Some people do that with life. Some other people take it and all they want to do is just push things away. They never want to look at things. No. They don't want to really totally face it, but they just push it away. Some people take it and they just want to confront everything. Just head on. They don't care about anybody else in front of them. There's lots of ways to handle things. But first, to me, if something happens in my life, I want to first just take and pay attention to it. Oh, whoa, interesting. Is this something that I need to deal with? It's only once, maybe. I don't need to do anything at all. But if another one is coming, well, geez, I don't know. Something else is coming. Maybe it's better sometime that I do something with it, because it's not going to go away. Now, I may choose to do something with it on the very first time, or the second, but it really depends on the intent. Because I can just as easily take down a person after I've done good evasion skills in taisabaki with a lot of intent, or something very, very soft as the person comes and just very simply taking them to the ground and saying, hey, stop that. You know, what's your problem? If they want to come back up on you, you can just change the situation. Really depends on their intent, not your desire. Certain aspects to play with of taisabaki. Very, very important aspect of our art, and one of the most important, because distancing is everything, as well as timing. And learn to put those two things together with angling are the three most important elements that I find in ninjutsu and in life itself.
In 3rd Kyu, the technique that you need to learn for Dokken Taijutsu is Kikaku-ken, or head strikes, using the forehead to butt into vulnerable spaces of the body. You want to aim for the bridge of the nose, the throat. Sometimes butting hard into the chest will stop the heart. I'm not actually doing it because it's very painful, but you get the idea. Using the forehead, aiming with the forehead. Also from the rear, let's do it from the sideways position. When someone grabs from behind, you want to butt backwards into the head. Kikaku-ken, head strikes. Kikaku-ken, head strike, can also be used when someone is attacking from behind, using the back part of the head to go into their nose or their forehead. Kikaku-ken, head strikes.
From the Dokken Taijutsu is Ken-tai-uchi, which is the flow of the body and the fist in natural harmony. the aspects that I want to show of this with an uke is that as I move, I want to practice keeping my arm in one position and using my body to deliver my weapon versus just my arms delivering these weapons. Not that these won't work if I'm using this kind of a strike. But in ninjutsu, we want to learn to work with all of ourselves. So if I have my hand in a particular position, I'm moving my body in to deliver the strike. It's the body that does this. I want to work on aspects of using my feet, using my body in connection. My arms are not traveling very much. I can actually take and have my hands in one position as a drill so that they're almost locked. We can tie a belt even around a person's arms to do this, and just have them moving their body, practicing drills. So it's actual body that does the punches. So you start getting this coordination of body and fist. Of course, this is probably more preferably done against some kind of pad. When you're in Ichimonji also, that if I'm in Ichimonji no Kamae and I'm delivering this, I'm actually doing this punch with my body. But it's the combination. It's not me punching with my arm. I am not doing this. I'm not punching just with the arm where I'm doing this. This will work. It's not as effective as me moving my body in, because I can move right back with these attacks, moving in combination. So you need to work on practicing the aspects of flowing, just moving the body and fist combination. Because if you think about it, the mass in your arm is not as great as the mass of your whole body. So why not use the aspects of your whole body, using your weight, and start to beginning to learn use all of yourself. Also, if you still remember from the meditations, as a center core shaft of light, I utilize that inside my training, so that I'm moving on this center core axis. So that if a person's coming, I can move. I can flow. It's going to help me in the bow drills that I learned. It's going to help me in the sword cutting. Because, notice, my hands are in one position. But yet, my movement of my body moves my hands a whole lot. Even though my hands have been kept in one position. These are very, very, very important aspects in learning to coordinate your mind and body and your spirit and the flow of your taijutsu all into one piece. These things are very, very important as you start to approach your black belt, as you progress on farther. And I do want to let you know that the black belt is not the end. Black belt is really a beginning, because you're learning enough pieces to be able to really start learning to practice this art. There's 10 degrees of this art, then there's more and more and more aspects and different levels of Shoden, Shuden, Okuden, Minkyo, and Minkyo Kaiden levels, even after you become a 10th Dan. So there's lots and lots and lots of progressions, and there's 9 different rus, 6 of which are Jujitsu rus, and 3 of which are the Ninpo basic aspects of your training. And the encompass of all of those together with several hundred wazas. So there's much, much more to learn, but even this will help enhance your life, even just getting and accumulating your black belt, because it is a major step. But it's only one step on your own path to your own enlightenment. Hajutsu Kuho. First we begin with Ogogorosh, or killing the thumb. So a person comes to maybe say grab. Any form of taking this thumb and squeezing into it, bending it back, is called killing the thumb. So we show this from a close-up position. That I would take this thumb and take the thumbnail and bend it back towards the hand itself, squeezing it in between both hands. Doesn't take much to control a very big person. You can take the thumbnail itself and squeeze into the thumbnail. Once more shown just holding the nail. All I do is take my thumbnail and dig in the piece of the thumbnail. Big people go down. It's a very wonderful technique to have and a little tool in your back pocket. I can also take this thumb and peel it out in a way that it's not meant to go. So I'm basically taking this as a close-up, maybe holding with my other finger here, so I'm going against the joint. This one doesn't have as much pain, but it can snap and break the thumb off. I can also take the thumb and rotate it this way and snap or break. Any way that a joint is not meant to go is going to be able to cause pinging and can dance the person around. This is basic form of Oga Gorosh. You can also, as the grab comes in, take fingers. So I can grab a finger. This is known as Koga Gorosh. I can take and dig my nails into the finger, which also causes pain. I also have a hold of this finger. It's really interesting when they willingly give you your finger, because most people won't, because you can just dance them all around. Up, 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 up. Down, 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 down. Up, 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 up. Yeah, 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 down. Lots of control on a very big person. These can be done with, as the person reaches out to grab, you just taking the fingers down. You want to be able to catch these fingers in any kind of position that they're in. I can have them here, just down. Any form of taking these fingers and bending them how they don't usually go is Oga Gorosh. You also can catch the fingers, boom, take them, take the other one and squeeze them into the nail. You can make flying techniques out of your partner. The next form of the Hajutsu is Ken Kudaki. As a person is delivering a punch, ski to me, I'm just going to hit his own punch, destroy that hand with my own punches. If I catch it 3/4 of the way, boom, it's going to shatter the bones of his hand. I can take and punch into the back parts of the hand, come down right on the hand again. Ken Kudaki. Toki Kudaki. The next form of Hajutsu Kuho is Koshi Kudaki, or crushing or shattering the hips. This is done with your own hips as a person does an attack, maybe coming from Ichimonji, as I'm sliding out, bringing my hip into their hip. Then from the other side. Done from the other side, sliding out, coming in with my hip to their hip. It can also be done from the inside as a person punches. If I'm already in here, I can hit and crush with my own hip, shattering into his hip. Especially extending it out once more from the other side. I can already be into this position, maybe doing a grab and coming in, floating my hip into his hip, taking this person down. Sir? These are the third Kyu forms of Hajutsu Kuho. The next aspects of third Kyu, or San Kyu, is the Nage Wazas. The Nage Wazas, we're going to first begin with Ganseke Oshi. Ganseke Oshi is learning to take your opponent off balance. A very, very important principle of using the Ganseke throws, or dropping a big rock. Falling back at a 45-degree angle. Sliding up. As I step here, I want to just take my opponent off balance in this off balance state. Continue moving them forward. Once more, the opposite side, so that as I pull them back off balance, shifting up, I want to take them into the state of being off balance. I could now begin a throw, but basically I just want to send their body forward. Once more, falling back, slide up, and just feeling this off balance state. To have the balance, feeling off balance. And continue Ganseke Oshi. Now we will do Ganseke Ori. Ganseke Ori begins in the same Ganseke form, falling back, 45. Sliding up before, two forms. One is that I can take this leg and work on breaking this leg by either taking this down, coming with a knee down on the leg itself. Another form, falling back, sliding up. I get this off balance state. I can step back behind this leg, carefully going back down. Another application of the Ganseki Ori. Falling back, stepping up, and stepping back behind, trapping this leg, coming back down on this leg itself. To turn, drop with my knees on here to shatter that leg. The third form or variation of Ganseki Ori is falling back, sliding up, and kicking to break that particular leg, stomping on it to compound the injury. So you're actually breaking the leg, Ganseki Ori. The next form of Sankyu Nage Wazas is Ganseki Atoshi. This is done against an uke who is very big and very strong. Person comes up, grabs, attack, I also grab. I fall back, taking my opponent off balance. I shift in. I step inside. I go to throw. But they're tough. They're big. They're too strong. I can't muscle it. So I take and I slide my leg back, taking them straight to the ground. Ganseki Atoshi. Once more. Done from another view. Comes, grabs. I step back. I go up. I step inside. I start to do the turn. He's too big. He's strong. So what I do is I just slide my leg back. Slide, slide. So I can take this person down on their head. Let's do that one once more. This person's big and strong. Let's do it on this side. Again, remembering that. Wait a minute, once more. This person comes and grabs. Remembering they're big and strong. I pull them off balance. I slide in. I put my foot in. I try to turn. They're too strong. So I want to take and to slide my heel back on their leg, taking them all the way to the ground. At this level, you want to start practicing some of these without an opponent so that you get an idea of what it looks like on your own. I'll show you two different views. So that as you stand in the posture, grabbing a hold, you want to fall back. You want to step up, sliding your arm underneath. I can continue to hold on the arm, sliding my feet up. I step into the center, deep. I turn and pivot my body, starting to throw to take this elbow over to this knee. They're too strong, they resist. I slide my leg back, touching their leg, and extend my leg all the way out as I come into this form. Both hands forward, taking their head down into the mat, completely stretched out. The next form of Ganseki is actually done from behind or from the rear. It's also a Ganseki Nage. Person could come in from some kind of a punch or a certain grab. But a person could come in and actually can catch here, taking and sliding my leg behind and theirs, turning, taking them to the ground. Once more from another angle. The punch could come in, and I'm coming in, sliding in here, taking the same positions of Ganseki, turning my heel, taking them down. Also a form of Ganseki Nage. Can be done off a supposed grab. A person's coming in, and I'm just stepping in here, stepping behind, Ganseki. From the other side, person comes in to grab, I can switch in here, stepping behind, taking my elbow to this knee. It's right in front of me to do anything that I need to do. Another form of Ganseki Nage from the rear.
Gotan Po is the use of the 5 natural elements of wood, earth, fire, water, and metal to aid in concealment and escape. Here we see our ninja use mukatan, or the element of wood, to hide and wait until his adversary comes close enough to jump on. And after the attack, again he blends into the tree and disappears. Who would expect to see a ninja hiding under a bridge in this day and age? But in feudal Japan, this may have been the only way for a ninja to cross safely unseen and accomplish their mission. Sensei Balanan will be doing several different skills in this difficult demonstration. This is much harder than it looks to hang on and to move across upside down. We advise against doing this technique as it is unsafe and is shown here for traditional demonstration purposes only. A person approaching directly from either bank to cross the bridge wouldn't even notice him hanging there. These passerbys out for a casual walk in the park certainly had no idea that someone was waiting below them as they crossed the bridge over this stream. When Ken reaches the middle of the bridge, he will climb up on top to finish his crossing. For a moment we thought he was going to let go and use Suitun, or the element of water, to disappear. Now he could have waited for a wagon to come by to climb into, or to surprise an unsuspecting person from whom he could borrow their clothes for a change in disguise. Now these are only a few examples of Gotan Po, or using the elements for concealment. As he climbs up, notice how he looks in each direction before going through the bars. He continues to survey the situation to the right and to the left before going through. Using Yokoruki to cross, he will make use of the side beam shadows and will keep his head even with the top of the railing to blend with the bridge and to cross safely to the other side.
In third Kyu, we begin to learn aspects of the katana. We begin by practicing primarily with that of a wooden bokken. The reason why we train first with a bokken is so that people do not get injured and get cut. It's difficult to do anything about sword and not talk about the great Musashi. Musashi is said to have defeated many opponents with only a wooden bokken, even though his opponent had a real live blade. Musashi, before he was 30 some odd years of age, is said to have fought in 60 live real battles and won all of those battles. It's said that he had an equal match once with a bow at one time later in his life. One of the greatest swordsmen of all time. What I'd like to begin with first is to show you aspects of holding the blade and then some basic kamais. Basic aspects of holding the katana. One is that I want to have my forward hand so that my finger just barely touches that of the tsuba, or the guard. I want to have my index finger's knuckle on the very top of the blade itself, so that in pressing down, that it gives me a very strong foundation. If I take and actually have the meat part here where it's open, if I press down, I have this tendency for a slide. It can make a major difference in an actual cut, depending on which part of the blade that I end up getting to use. I want it diagonal in my hand, so that I have it in a diagonal fashion versus straight across. Diagonal across my hand. I want to take my backhand and put it on the very back of the blade itself, farthest back, so that I can actually end up doing pushing, thrusting. It's also the working hand of the blade. Because if you notice that even if just my hand's in the same position as my right arm, that if I move my back hand, it moves the sword. Even though I'm keeping the forward hand in one position, the sword blade can turn over and do many cuts just with the working of even just a couple fingers on the back of the blade itself. Even with the arm in one position. So it becomes a working piece in this cut. Some cuts are done in this kind of formation where both of the hands are actually moving and cutting. This is just for practicing, getting the arms and stuff in a motion. A lot of our cuts are done more in a thrusting, striking, cutting out type motion. So we have a slicing motion, but you also maybe want to use the wrists and the hands as you later learn to progress in your sword. Another aspect of using the sword and using a bokken, which is a wooden sword, is that you notice that even if I keep my hands in the same position, it's really also the movement of my body that makes a major difference. My hands with my elbows locked against my body, that if I just move with my knees, look at the tremendous difference of the movement of the sword blade itself, even with my hands in the same position. I can create circles here. Or any kind of other pattern, including a figure 8. This is very, very helpful if I'm starting to move my hands and my body together to just naturally move cuts. The hands in the same place and just my foot itself moving can actually do a whole cut. This is major thing to pay attention to in practicing keeping the hands in one position and just moving the body. Now I'd like to show you a few basic kamae or postures in which to practice those kind of moving drills out of. I'm going to use a live katana for that. I recommend that you practice with a bokken, but it's easier to see some of these things with an actual blade. The first and most primary posture that we use a lot of basic strikes and things from is Dai Jodan. It's an upper position. The footwork is more of that in Ichimonji no Kamae. The hands come straight up, fist and a half distance. The blade is up at a 45-degree angle. Shown in a couple different aspects. Only in Kuki Shindenryu is the blade straight across in the back. Depends, and only in sometimes is some of the cuts. But primarily we'll have it in this raised 45-degree angle. Dai Jodan no Kamae. Dai Jodan. From Dai Jodan, the hands come down to where the sword is resting right at level of the belt. Hands come off maybe fist distance. This is, and the sword blade pointing up into the person's eyes. This is known as Seigan no Kamae. This can be with either leg forward. The rocking of the body can also control aspects of the sword and the amount of the time and distancing and lengths of an actual cut or strike. Seigan no Kamae. Seigan is a posture that is usually always gone back into after some other kind of cut, so that you're in some kind of a transitory position, ready position before moving into some other basic transitory or non-stationary position. From Seigan no Kamae, the hands drop down to where the sword is in the middle, so be known as Chudan no Kamae. Chudan, or middle position. From Chudan, it drops down near the leg, is known as Geidan no Kamae. The blade is out in front of you. Geidan. Rocking the body forward, moving forward with the energy, sword off slightly to the side of the knee. Tosui no Kamae. Tosui. You're more in a fiery, ready to go position. Back a little bit, trying to draw the energy in. Geidan no Kamae. The sword crosses, comes across the back leg where it's almost hidden, where you can't even see it. This is a back Geidan or Ura Geidan posture. Ura Geidan. Also known as Haso in some different ryus. Several different names. Basically, I would like you to call this Ura Geidan according to Hatsumi Sensei. From Uragedan no Kamae, that the blade turns, just comes up as your foot slides up next to each other at 90-degree angles. The sword comes up to where the suba, this guard, is up near the ear. The sword straight up and down. Hicho no Kamae. Hicho, the body is facing out to the direction that the sword is in by the ear. Haso no Kamae. Eyes looking straight forward, straight into the eyes of your opponent, but the peripheral picking up the rest of the body. A lot of the battles of sword are actually won eyes to eyes. From Haso no Kamae, stepping back, foot position, the arms floating out, is Tenshi no Kamae. Tenshi no Kamae. From Tenshi no Kamae, the sword comes over, crosses across the face, Kasumi no Kamae. Kasumi is any of these cross positions. Kasumi can be here, Kasumi can be here. Kasumi can be to where the light glares off of the sword at a person. This is also Kasumi no Kamae. It's a position of these arms being crossed. Kasumi no Kamae. From Kasumi no Kamae, I could go straight forward, extending out into Ichimonji no Kamae, or Ichi no Kamae. So I'm extended out as in a thrust. Could be back in a posture here also, but the arms in an extended position. So I'm in an extension versus where Chudan is closer to the body. Ichimonji, Chudan. In Gedan, the arms drop. Notice this position even in Seigan, where my hands are up just a little, and Gedan, the hands drop a little. So it's lower. But it's usually back and more receptive, trying to draw this person in. From this position you need to learn, or from any position you need to learn to move into any other position. So that's naturally moving from posture to posture. If I'm in Dai Jodan, I easily need to be able to move into any kind of other posture without lots of other momentum or movement. You want to practice these so that it's automatically moving into any other position without lots of extra motion or movement of your body. So it's natural flow. And any kind of movement or any other kind of position. There's also, it's called Totoku, in which this could be used against shuriken being thrown at you. So we would actually protect yourself against the blade. Blade turned out. Totoku. Haso no Kamae. Dai Jodan no Kamae. Seigan no Kamae. Chudan no Kamae. Gedan no Kamae. Uragedan no Kamae. Kosui no Kamae. Haso no Kamae. Tenshi no Kamae. Kasumi no Kamae. Ichimonji no Kamae. Practice the bokken and sword and many kind of forms. Enjoy your training.